Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Here in this video, I'm going to try to make it as short, sweet, straight to the point as possible. But I do want to share kind of two things in this video. First and foremost, again, why I'm so bullish on Tesla, my expectations about the Robotaxi, why I think you could actually see a short squeeze start after Tesla's earnings in the last 10 days or so of July that could extend into August. Okay. I think you guys are going to get a lot of value out of that, at least from my perspective. But I also want to share 2026. I want to talk a lot about 2026 in this video and why I'm so bullish on 2026, what I think some of the big catalysts are that markets are not looking at right now. See, in the trading community, link down below in the description of this video, what we have been doing is going out, finding those small cap AI stocks, some biopharma names as well, that are underlooked, that nobody's looking at, because that's where the money is made in Tesla, in the broader S&P, and Home Depot. Doesn't matter. It's the catalyst or things that could happen, that do happen, that nobody was expecting to happen, that positively impact the market. See, a bell curve. Okay, do we know what a bell curve is? I hope we do, but it's like a straight-ish line that maybe slopes up, and then a big slope, and then another line that kind of is flat, okay? Well, it's the tails that move markets. Think about the middle of a bell curve where it's the highest, okay? That is like what everyone is expecting, like widely known information, like the tax bill passed, great. We know the tariff rate on China, great. Like those are expectations. Well, what if the tariff rate on China went down? Well, that is plotted somewhere on the bell curve, okay? That would be very positive for markets. So that would be something that is not priced in that happens. That is a positive surprise. That is a positive development for markets. Presumably stocks would go higher, okay? So those are some of the things we're going to focus on here in this video. I use tariffs on China as an example. I don't necessarily think tariffs on China are going to fall, although that could happen in a plausible scenario for 2026. So hopefully that makes some sense. But it's really about identifying, hey, what do I think is going to happen? And then what does markets think is going to happen? Now, you do this on a macro level or a micro level with certain stocks, okay? Certain stocks, you can say, hey, this is what Wall Street's expecting. This is what I'm expecting. If I am right, nobody's expecting that. That's where you get the upside. If you're kind of expecting the same thing as Wall Street is and it happens, well, typically there's no upside nor downside in that scenario, okay? Hopefully this makes some sense. I'll break it down here in this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel first and foremost. If you guys, again, would like to come join the trading community, check out that link down below in the description of this video. What we're doing over there is looking for those outsized return potentials, okay? This is not for investors that want to take a 10% average return in the S&P. We're looking for stocks that are going to go up 500%, 1,000%, 5,000, 10,000%, okay? We're filtering through bad stocks, bad small caps, and finding the good ones. I do think we are heading into a super cycle of AI. That's why I'm focusing a lot of my time on trying to find those small cap AI stocks, and there's a lot of opportunities as always in biopharma. So that's where a lot of my focus is right now. We spend hours every day researching, going through these, smaller cap names to find the good ones and filter through the bad ones. I have my portfolio, at least one of them, that we've been doing this strategy in the trading community up here posted on the page. Up 64.25% year to date, $75,000 portfolio. The goal is to take this to $1 million in the next 2 years. So come join that journey. Link down below in the description of this video. First and foremost, we can focus on Tesla for a moment. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is, let's say Wall Street is expecting 1,000 robo-taxis out on the road by the end of next year. Great. That's already priced in. That's already the average expectation. What if on Tesla's earnings, Elon says we could have as many as 100,000 robo-taxis out on the road by the end of next year? What if Elon says that at some point towards the end of this year, the FSD version of Robotaxi is going to merge into FSD that we have And Tesla's already in the process of getting regulatory approvals in 15 cities, let's say, and we could have 100,000 robotaxis out on the road next year. Now, I'm just throwing out the 1,000 number for robotaxis next year because it is impossible to know exactly what Wall Street is expecting. I'll tell you right now, it's higher than 1,000 robotaxis, most likely, and much lower than 100,000. So I can sit here and say, hey, I think Elon is probably going to say up to 100,000 robotaxis out on the road by the end of next year. Okay. I think that's possible. Now, does that happen or not? You have to usually heavily discount what Elon says. Okay. So if he says 100,000, Wall Street might say, okay, that means maybe 30,000 robotaxis could be out on the road by the end of next year. That is probably much higher than Wall Street is actually expecting. Now, I think it's a little bit different this earnings as well when it comes to robotaxi, because we are already operating on, yes, a very small scale, but it shows proof of work. Okay. There's something called proof of concept. Okay. Like, we know that if you drop a ball from, 10 feet or 100 feet, it will hit the ground. Okay. It will fall at a certain speed, at a certain velocity. Like, that is, proof of concept, right? If you put a freaking pool at the bottom, it's going to splash. Okay. That's proof of concept. We already know that. It's proven. Okay. Well, proof of work, okay, is proving that something works. Robotaxi was promised a long time ago, and now it's proven that it works. Now, there's some questions around how good is it and blah, blah, blah. But generally speaking, we can now say, hey, maybe Tesla can actually scale robotaxi thousands of vehicles over the next 12 months. Okay. And I don't even think, judging off of Tesla stock, that there's a lot of high hopes or expectations for robotaxi next year. That, I think, is an upside surprise coming on Tesla's earnings around July 20th. And I think that is really the unlocking catalyst for massive value creation with Tesla stock. And I do think in terms of a potential short squeeze, like, we're probably going to hear, again, a pretty optimistic number from Elon Musk. 100,000 robotaxis out on the road next year. Like, that is not nothing, okay? Let's say there's $10,000 of profitability per robotaxi on 100,000 robotaxis. That's $1 billion divided by 3.3 billion shares outstanding is about 30 cents to EPS times 150 times multiple. That's about $45.45 worth of share price appreciation based on that. Now, I think profitability would be more than that. A lot of people have suggested over $20,000 per vehicle. You can double up these numbers. That's, closer to $90 of, share price appreciation just based on robotaxi, let alone, cheaper, lower priced vehicles and energy storage, all of that is obviously doing well. So it's robotaxi number one. Scalability around that and guidance is critically important. It's really going to start to put Tesla front and center in the AI investing theme, which I don't think Tesla is at right now, judging on what's happened to the stock recently. Okay, you're still down like what, $160 from all-time highs we set right after the election. Okay, Elon's partially to blame for that via some of the political stuff that he's been doing, and we went over that in the last video. The other thing that could get pretty exciting is the Model 2, is cheaper, lower-priced Teslas. Because the Model 2, the cheaper Teslas, is seen as really the growth driver again for the auto side of the business. Now, again, if the end goal is to have as many robotaxis as possible, selling as many vehicles as you possibly can is critically important. And presumably these Model 2s could also be used for robotaxi. We don't have all of the details around this, but on earnings, we should hear more about the Model 2, about the robotaxi capability that those vehicles will have, so on and so forth. So just where I see it right now for Tesla stock is people are way too far on the bearish side, whether it's Elon's political affiliations, whether it is expectations around robotaxi scalability or the Model 2. I think sentiment has swung so far to the negative side that we're really set up for a positive reaction coming after Tesla earnings. Now, in the meantime, between now and July 20th, if at any moment Elon gets further into politics and wants to create the American Party, things like that, then I would imagine that's going to have a negative impact on Tesla. I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems kind of likely at this point, but just be on lookout for that. Understand that the political affiliation, if Elon dives deeper into that, is going to continue to be a negative factor on Tesla stock. Okay. And the day the headline comes out, Elon Musk has created the American Party, like Tesla stock's probably going to sell off at least 5% on that. It's going to put a lot more pressure, a lot more tension on Tesla from a political perspective. And that's obviously not great for the stock, but who knows? He may not actually do that, or hopefully not be the front and center guy of that political party. Maybe just like endorses it or something. That would obviously be a better way to launch the American Party. So again, Tesla, with one of the largest short positions of any large cap stock out there, 2.7% short interest of free float, about $24 billion sold short in Tesla, totaling about 75.5 million shares. There is a lot of room for a potential short squeeze here. There's a lot of room for, people to need to get allocated to Tesla. Just from hedge fund and institutional perspective, a lot of them are way underweight Tesla. A lot of them own Tesla because it's in the S&P and they kind of have to a certain extent. But a lot of them are really underweight Tesla. Like if Tesla's 5% of the S&P, I'm just throwing numbers out here, I don't know exactly. They might only have 2% of their portfolio in Tesla. Okay. If we start to see good things out of Tesla, starting on Tesla earnings, bit of a short squeeze, whatever the case is, they may have to start raising their allocation in their portfolios to Tesla because nobody wants to miss a stock going up. Now, I also think from a broader market perspective, we are set up very well for 2026. Start with the basics here. I think inflation is going to, not be an issue. I think the economy is going to hold up. I think with inflation not being an issue, we can cut rates a lot next year, bring interest rates down a lot. Okay, that's kind of the basics that we've talked about many times. In just that scenario alone, I think stocks do very well. But I also think an AI super cycle is coming. I do think the investment dollars are really going to be focused around AI, and I think Tesla is at the forefront of that. Now, I think on a deeper perspective, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime just passed. No tax on tips up to $25,000, no tax on overtime up to $14,500. And I think that's really going to help the spending side of this economy. People spend all of their money. Just giving them more money to spend is obviously going to be beneficial to market. So that's where I think, Wall Street's like, they know these things, but they don't think they're actually going to affect or benefit much of the economy. I actually think it could be quite a big driving factor. Mix all of this together, lower interest rates, people having more money to spend because of less taxation on 60 to 80 million people on any given, calendar year. Mix that with an economy that's holding up and a focus on AI investments. I see a very positive 2026 coming for stocks. Now, something that nobody's talking about, that I have not heard a single person talk about, is what happens when housing starts to actually move again. For years now, people have not really been able to buy homes. Like housing data is at some of the lowest, worst points it's been at. Now, couple that with record levels of equity in homes, and you have a scenario where, let's say, what if rates start to come down? What if we have 10 million homes that are sold next year at, an average, let's say 100,000 equity appreciation, realized to people's bank accounts, right? Like you sell your home, you get $100,000 in the bank. People are going to spend that. Okay. That could be a total stimulus boost of at least $1 billion. Could be well more than that. I think we sell 4 million homes a year. So technically you could be looking at 48 million homes sold, processed transactions next year. And that's just at the current rate. It could be 70 million if things start to kind of boom a bit. Times 100,000, that's 7 billion. Okay, now we're starting to talk. Okay, I think that could be a big driving stimulus factor for a lot of families next year as rates start to come down, and even as some people can refinance the homes that they purchased. That could fuel a lot of spending, which could fuel earnings surprises for next year. So when I put all of this together, it's hard to really come to a bare thesis. It's hard to imagine things go wrong. Obviously, you can have a weakening economy, and that's really the bear case. Is the economy just weakens and we go into some kind of recession? But to me at this point, that seems highly unlikely. And again, mix all of this with a focus on AI, and I think this is a once in a lifetime investing opportunity. I mean, famous last words perhaps, but we will see. Let me know your thoughts on Tesla stock, for earnings over the next couple of months and for 2026. I think if all things go well, Tesla's a $600 stock by the end of this year, at least a $900 stock by the end of next year. Just, again, my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you guys want to come trade with us live in real time as well, come win with us. Obviously, not financial advice, not a guarantee. Anything can happen in markets. You could lose all of your money, blah, blah, blah. Check out that link down below in the description of this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.